The new iPhone 16 series are finally here, and after days of extensive testing, we're finally ready with our battery test results. So let's see if the iPhone 16 Pro Max really lives up to all the hype. And Apple said that this is the iPhone with the longest lasting battery ever. So we were definitely intrigued to put these claims to the test. And on the table right here, we have the iPhone 16 Pro Max, the iPhone 16 Plus, last year's 15 Pro Max, the Galaxy S24 Ultra and S24 Plus, the new Pixel 9 Pro XL, and finally the OnePlus 12. Out of all these big phones, the iPhones still have the smallest batteries, but now the gap has narrowed as we get a nearly 4700 mAh battery capacity on the 16 Pro Max and the 16 Plus, which is a big step up from last year. Now on the other end of the spectrum is the OnePlus 12, which has a 5400 mAh battery, which is nearly 10% bigger than other Android phones. So let's waste no time. As always, all phones are fully charged to 100% for each test, and we measure the time it takes to drain the battery with different use cases. And the first one is web browsing. So we have to say that we set all phones at the same brightness level to ensure an equal playing field. We do this before the beginning of the test, and as you can see in this test, we have a script running the same set of web pages, and we have some scrolling behavior baked in, so this kind of mimics real-life browsing. Now remember that for these battery tests, we don't show you the full test run, but we only show you what the test looks like, so it's kind of a placeholder run. The reason for that is that these tests take very long hours, so we just cannot show you the full run. With that in mind, let's fast forward to this very moment when we see the first phone die, and time on the clock is 18 hours and 5 minutes. The phone is the iPhone 16 Plus, so let's flip it around and continue. And very soon we have the black screen on the OnePlus 12, and it scores 18 hours and 14 minutes. And this is a bit surprising considering the big battery of the OnePlus, but it might do better on the other tests. So let's keep on going until we see another phone tap out. And that is the Pixel 9 Pro XL with 18 hours and 52 minutes on the clock. So this is already quite a bit better. And we're left with only iPhones and Galaxies on the table, so let's see which phone wins the rivalry. We have to wait a bit more until we lose another phone, and that is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which gets a bit more than 20 hours. Keep in mind that after the iOS 18 update, older iPhones such as this one might get slightly improved battery life, and we will probably be testing this in the next video. So right now we're left with 3 phones, and the next phone out of juice is surprisingly the Galaxy S24 Ultra. It scores 20 hours and 6 minutes, while the S24 Plus still has some juice left. So we skip forward nearly half an hour later, and at 20 hours and 41 minutes, the S24 Plus is gone too. So the iPhone 16 Pro Max wins this round, but it's not just a win. It crushes the competition with an incredible score of 22 hours and 56 minutes, nearly 3 hours more than the Galaxy S24 Ultra. So let's once again recap the scores, starting at 18 hours and 5 minutes for the iPhone 16 Plus and the superb nearly 23-hour score of the 16 Pro Max. Alright, browsing is one use case, but what if you watch a lot of video instead? Now our next test is focused exactly on video streaming. We just play back the same YouTube video playlist on all of the phones until it drains the battery, and we measure the time. So once again, we start with all the phones fully juiced up and we kick it off, and as before, we are showing you a placeholder run for illustration here. You can find the full results for all the phones we test, and those are in the hundreds now, at the link in the description, so make sure to go there. You can look up your favorite phone, compare it with other devices easily, and we're using the same methodology for all the phones. Alright, back to the test. It's time to skip forward to the moment one of the phones dies, and surprisingly, the Galaxy S24 Ultra kicks the bucket first at 8 hours and 18 minutes. This is not a great score, but if you follow our testing, you probably already know that Samsung phones typically drain a bit faster than others for YouTube video streaming. That's just their peculiarity. And just as we speak, the Galaxy S24 Plus also runs out of juice at the 8 hour and 20 minute mark. So we flip them around and we keep on going, and we have to wait quite a bit longer, but next we see the black screen on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. It gets a score of 9 hours and 24 minutes, a full hour more than the Galaxies. But the other phones still have battery left, and now one of the iPhones is also dead, and that is the iPhone 15 Pro Max. It gets a final score of 9 hours and 45 minutes, and that is already one solid number. But the newer iPhones do even better, so we wait a bit longer, and just as we speak, the iPhone 16 Pro Max and iPhone 16 Plus both die at the same time with an identical score of 10 hours and 24 minutes. That is excellent in our books, but we have one phone that goes even beyond excellent, and that is the OnePlus 12. It keeps on running, and we weren't impressed with its score for web browsing, but it just crushes the competition when it comes to YouTube. And we don't know if OnePlus has some special tricks to optimize for this, but the OnePlus 12 finally runs out of juice 13 hours and 37 minutes into the test, an absolutely legendary score. So let's once again recap. The Galaxies both score around 8 hours and 20 minutes, and the winner here is the OnePlus 12 with nearly 14 hours. We also run another test, 3D gaming, and this one stresses the GPU more. So let's also see the results from this test in the chart right here. So with all these numbers, we have added a lot of complexity to the picture, because for gaming, the Galaxy S24 Ultra actually scores best with nearly 14 hours, and the iPhone 16 Pro Max ranks second. So to not leave you confused, we have developed two metrics which are averages of this test, of these tests that we run. First is screen time, and the other one is days of use. So let's recap. We start with the Galaxy S24 Ultra. It gets a screen time estimate of 6 hours and 46 minutes, or you can expect 1.41 days of use. Next and very close to that is the Galaxy S24 Plus with a screen time of 6 hours and 54 minutes, or 1.44 days of use. And for these two, the low score for YouTube video streaming definitely affected them. At number 5, we have Google's new Pixel 9 Pro XL, which gets screen time of 7 hours and 18 minutes, or 1.52 days of use. At fourth place comes the iPhone 15 Pro Max with 7 hours and 25 minutes of screen time, or 1.55 days of use. Number 3 is the iPhone 16 Plus, very close with 7 hours and 30 minutes screen time, 1.56 days of use. Second best is the OnePlus 12 with an estimated 8 hours and 9 minutes screen time, or 1.7 days of use. And the winner of this comparison with the best performance this year is the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It gets a whopping 8 hours and 30 minutes of screen time, or 1.77 days of use, close to that coveted 2-day mark. So it turns out the hype was justified. The iPhone 16 Pro Max gets nearly an hour more of screen time compared to the previous generation. And of course, you know how battery life kind of depends on your usage, but the iPhone was at the top or close to it on all of the tests. In our next video, we will look at the battery life on the compact phones, such as the smaller iPhone 16 Pro, the Galaxy S24, the Pixel 9, and the others. So if you're looking for a compact phone, subscribe to not miss that video and learn about the battery life on those. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.